Do you really think Kong is big in Godzilla vs. Kong? We saw him go head-to-head with the giant lizard and command respect. But what if I told you that, down there in the Hollow Earth, our favorite gorilla is considered a dwarf? Don't believe it. Look at Kong's size compared to just one vertebra of that creature. If that beast were alive, it would make Kong look like a flea. Today, we're going to reveal the top 10 biggest titans of the Hollow Earth that humiliate Kong in size. Stick with me until the end, because the official numbers from Monarch are staggering, and you'll understand why size does matter in the MonsterVerse. To understand the level of comparison we'll see in this list, we first need to put our champion on the scale. According to official Monarch data, an adult Kong measures exactly 103 meters in height. Is that impressive on the surface? Absolutely. But in the Hollow Earth, height isn't the only thing that matters. Mass, wingspan, length, and especially firepower count for much more. The Hollow Earth functions like a natural nuclear reactor, allowing certain species to grow endlessly, reaching sizes that defy gravity. So much so that Kong himself grows after going to the Hollow Earth. So, my friend, get ready, because today's list is incredible. If you already thought Kong was gigantic, you can't imagine what's coming. Titanus Amhulik, the horror of the forest. Let's start by talking about a creature that, honestly, seems to have come straight out of a psychological horror movie, and not a giant monster movie. If the MonsterVerse had a supernatural category, this guy would be the leader. I'm talking about Titanus Amhulik. If you've only seen the movies, you probably missed that name flashing on a computer screen in King of the Monsters. But his true form was revealed in the official and canonical Godzilla Dominion comic, and I guarantee it's the most bizarre thing Monarch has ever cataloged. Amhulik is classified as a biokinetic titan. His height is officially listed at 115.5 meters, 379 feet. This already puts him about 12 meters taller than Kong. But the humiliation here isn't just that he's taller, it's that he's technically immortal for a physically strong fighter like Kong. As we can see in the comic book panels, Amhulik doesn't have a conventional body of flesh, bone, and blood. His true form is just a grotesque head attached to an exposed spine and a central nervous system. The rest of his body, it's all a facade. He uses powerful biological telekinesis to attract dead tree trunks, rotting vegetation, moss, and forest debris, assembling a giant exoskeleton around himself. He is literally a swamp monster on a nuclear scale. And here's the real problem for Kong. In Godzilla Dominion, Amhulik invades Titanus Behemoth's territory in the Amazon. Behemoth is a robust and heavy war tank. And what does Amhulik do? He uses his stretchable limbs to grab Behemoth from a distance. He rips off one of Behemoth's giant tusks with a single blow, and it begins dragging the Brazilian Titan through the forest like a sack of garbage. Think about the physics of it. If Kong punches Godzilla in the face, he'll just hurt his hand on the tough skin. But if Kong punches Amhulik, he'll just scatter a bunch of rotten wood, which Amhulik will reassemble seconds later using his mind. Kong would need to figure out that the weak point is just the central spine, while dodging arms that can stretch hundreds of meters and tentacles that deliver neural shocks. It's a kind of biological advantage that brute force and an axe don't easily solve. Amhulik is the boogeyman of the Hollow Earth for a reason.
Jesus.
Titanus Scylla, the arachnid siege. Speaking of strange biology, we have Titanus Scylla. Many fans make the mistake of underestimating this titan because it is rarely seen standing upright, stretched out. But make no mistake, the official Monarch data is unequivocal. Scylla stands at an impressive 103.9 meters tall. What truly makes Scylla seem like a monster of another scale compared to Kong is its wingspan. While Kong is a compact target, a block of muscle, and primate agility, Scylla is a living encirclement. It is a fascinating and terrifying mix of cephalopod, crustacean, and arachnid. Pay close attention to her fight in Rome in Godzilla vs. Kong, New Empire. When she moves through the historic streets, she doesn't just occupy a single lane, she dominates entire city blocks. Her 6 articulated legs, ending in sharp spikes that pierce concrete and asphalt as if they were butter, allow her to tower above buildings, creating a shadow of dominance that Kong simply cannot replicate. If we put the two head to head, Scylla's physical advantage is daunting for 3 main reasons: multi-directional attack. Kong fights with 2 fists and tactical intelligence. Scylla fights with 6 gigantic spears. In a close quarters fight, Kong would have to deal with attacks coming from 6 different directions simultaneously. Armor. Scylla's body is protected by a chitinous carapace reinforced with mineral deposits. Kong is flesh and blood. Every punch Kong landed on Scylla would be like punching it. Armored tank. The tentacles and cryogenic breath. Many people forget about the facial tentacle. They aren't just for eating. They are sensory and prehensile organs that can whip or immobilize Kong's limbs. And the trump card? Scylla has the ability to emit liquid nitrogen, stabilizing the global temperature. But in combat, this means she can literally freeze Kong's joints, making him a static and vulnerable target. Scylla doesn't just humiliate Kong with her extra meter of height, but with her area of effect. She is a titan that demands her opponent fight against impossible geometry. While Kong needs to get close to be effective, Scylla maintains control of the distance with her kilometer-long legs. Titanus Behemoth, the wall of nature now. Let's talk about heavyweights. Our Brazilian titan, Titanus Behemoth. If Scylla humiliates Kong in agility, Behemoth does it through brute force and sheer mass. According to Monarch records, this majestic mammoth colossal sloth hybrid measures exactly 107.9 meters tall. That might seem like a 5-meter difference from Kong isn't much, but in the world of titans, 5 meters of vertical height coupled with a massive quadrupedal structure changes everything. Behemoth is built like a bunker. In Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, we saw that its structure is extremely robust, covered by a thick coat of fur that serves as a natural cushioning layer against attacks. While Kong is an MMA fighter, fast, versatile, and reliant on reflexes, Behemoth is the sumo master of the monster world. It possesses an extremely low center of gravity and an exceptionally stable base of support. For Kong to bring down this wall of nature, he would need more than just strength. He would need a physical leverage that his primate biology can barely generate against a target of such magnitude. In a direct charge collision, the gorilla would simply be repelled by Behemoth's overwhelming inertia. But what's truly intimidating about the Behemoth are its ivory tusks. They're almost the size of its entire body and possess a hardness that defies human comprehension. Imagine Kong trying to get close for hand-to-hand combat. He'd have to dodge the curved structures that could impale a building and that the Behemoth uses, with an impact force capable of cracking the Earth's crust itself. Furthermore, the Behemoth has a unique connection to the ecosystem. Kong is a king at the top of the food chain. The Behemoth is the very foundation of the forest. If Kong tried to climb the Behemoth, he would find a coat infested with microorganisms and skin as hard as granite. In short, the Behemoth doesn't need to be faster than Kong. It just needs Kong to make the mistake of trying to move it. Because the day the gorilla encounters that wall, he will discover that there are weights that even the king of Skull Island cannot carry. Titanus Methuselah, the living mountain, and if we're talking about mass, nobody surpasses this guy on the surface, Titanus Methuselah. Here, my friends, we have a trick in Monarch's data that fools many people and makes Kong look like a featherweight in comparison. Methuselah's official height is listed as 98 meters. Many people look at this and say, so Kong at 103 meters is bigger than him. Wrong. Completely wrong. Those 98 meters are likely measured to the shoulder or with the Titan in its resting posture. Head bowed. What you really need to observe is what this Colossus carries on its back. As we saw in the iconic Munich scene in Godzilla 2, Methuselah doesn't just carry muscles. It literally carries a mountain. Its back is a complete ecosystem of massive rock and ancient forests that have grown upon it. He hibernates for centuries. He is the ultimate master of biological camouflage. While Kong hides in caves, Methuselah is the geographical feature. Let's talk about numbers that really matter. Weight. The estimated weight of Methuselah is an impressive 170,000 tons. To give you an idea of how absurd that is, estimates for Kong range between 50,000 and 80,000 tons. This means that Methuselah weighs more than twice as much as Kong. In terms of physics, Methuselah doesn't need to be a martial arts master. He only needs to walk towards his opponent. If Kong tried to block a frontal charge from Methuselah, it would be the equivalent of trying to stop a continent-scale landslide with his bare hands. This Titan's inertia is simply unstoppable. Where will Kong land? On Methuselah. Almost all of its exposed body is protected by plates of stone and hardened earth crust. A direct punch from Kong to Methuselah would likely result in broken hand bones for the gorilla, while the mountainous Titan would barely feel the impact. Methuselah possesses colossal horns that act like industrial bulldozers. It can turn the terrain upside down. If it decides to run you over, there's no dodging that will save Kong from being buried under hundreds of thousands of tons of living rock. As the name suggests, inspired by the biblical character Methuselah, this Titan is one of the oldest on Earth. Its skin is so thick and its physiology so slow and steady that it can absorb punishments that would kill smaller Titans instantly. Methuselah is the definition of a force of nature. Kong is a king, but Methuselah is the stone throne upon which the world sits. MUTO Prime, the king killer and seismic terror leaving the surface and plunging into the deepest terrors of the underworld. We find a legend that many fans who only watch the movies may not know. MUTO Prime, also known as Jin Shimushi. If you thought the MUTO couple from the 2014 movie were dangerous, Prime is the nightmare they came from. He is the final stage of the species' evolution. His dimensions leave Kong in the dust. MUTO Prime measures a colossal 128 meters tall and weighs an impressive 135,000 tons. We're talking about a creature that is almost a 20-meter vertical advantage over Kong and almost twice the weight, unlike other Titans who are guardians of nature. MUTO Prime evolved with a single biological purpose: to hunt and kill Godzilla's species. He is a perfect counter for the atomic reptiles, which makes us wonder, what would he do to a primate? In the Godzilla Aftershock comic book, we witness feats that Kong wouldn't even dream of achieving. MUTO Prime was able to lift Godzilla, who is much heavier than Kong, with an upward punch and, most terrifying of all, break the dorsal plates of a young Godzilla with a sonic scream. Seismic piston arms. Prime's forelimbs aren't just strong, they're built to generate earthquakes. Every strike he delivers to the ground creates a shock wave, which destabilizes the terrain. Kong relies on balance and mobility on a battlefield controlled by MUTO Prime. The ground would be constantly crumbling. Anti-impact Carapace. Prime's outer armor is one of the most resistant in the MonsterVerse. It was designed to withstand the atomic breath and physical blows of a raging Godzilla. Kong's fists, however powerful, would encounter resistance that would absorb the impact energy without transferring damage to the monster's vital organs. The parasitic factor. The Prime possesses ovipositors, capable of injecting parasitic embryos into Titans. While he fights, he is looking for an opportunity to transform his enemy into a host. Kong fights to survive and protect. The Prime fights to eradicate entire lineages. MUTO Prime humiliates Kong not only with his massive physical size, but with his nature as a specialized alpha predator. He is a reminder that, in the Titan hierarchy, there are those who dominate and those who were made to hunt the dominators themselves. Against the King Killer, Kong would not only be in an uphill battle, he would be facing the end of his own species. Titanus Na Kika, giant of length now. Let's enter territory where vertical height ceases to be the main factor, and what truly counts is total length. Let's talk about Titanus Na Kika, the absolute master of stealth and the nightmare of any creature that dares to enter its aquatic domain. Here, size humiliates Kong in a way that defies our visual perception. Length. While Kong has a respectable 103 meters in height, Na Kika, when it fully extends its tentacles, reaches an impressive 174 meters in length. To give you an idea, that's almost 3 times the size of Kong. It's as if Kong were fighting 3 versions of itself stitched together. Na Kika is not just a giant octopus. It possesses an intelligence intelligence that, according to the Godzilla Dominion comics, is among the highest of all the Titans. Cephalopods have multiple brains and hearts, and Na Kika utilizes this biological architecture to process combat strategies in real time. His greatest weapon, however, is camouflage. He possesses advanced chromatophores that allow him to change color, pattern, and even skin texture instantly. He can become indistinguishable from the ocean floor or the rocky walls of the Hollow Earth. For Kong, fighting Na Kika would be like fighting a 274-meter tall ghost. The gorilla would be hit by attacks that seem to come from nowhere. In a hypothetical clash, Kong would be at a total disadvantage because of Na Kika's physics. Imagine hundreds of meters of gripping muscles equipped with suction cups that can generate a vacuum and pierce the skin. The tentacle trap, at 274 meters long, Na Kika doesn't need to get close to Kong's center to attack. It can wrap around the gorilla's body multiple times, immobilizing its arms, legs, and neck simultaneously. Hostile environment. In water or deep swamps, Kong loses its greatest advantage, foot support. Na Kika, on the other hand, uses water as a pressure weapon. It would drag Kong to the depths, where the crushing pressure of the ocean and the lack of oxygen would do the hard work. Elastic resistance. Because Na Kika's body is soft and malleable, Kong's punches, which are devastating against solid targets, will be absorbed by the Titan's gelatinous and elastic mass. It's like trying to punch a giant rubber mass. You expend energy, and the enemy barely feels the impact. Na Kika proves that length can be far more terrifying than height. It humiliates Kong by transforming the battlefield into a labyrinth of untraceable tentacles. While Kong is the king of solid surfaces, Na Kika is the master of fluidity and colossal length. Titanus Dagon, the fallen ancestor. Now we need to talk about a Titan. That defines what it means to be a giant on the timescale. Titanus Dagon, also known as Raging. Dagon was a direct ancestor of the Godzilla we know. If you remember the opening scene of the 2014 film, where helicopters fly over a collapsed mine in the Philippines, that immense skeleton that served as a nest for the MUTOs belonged to him. It is estimated that Dagon was between 96 and 100 meters tall. You might be thinking, but if it was 100 meters tall, the current Kong is a bit bigger, right? Yes, but the point here isn't just the vertical height, but what that size represented at the time. Dagon makes the list to give us a reality check about the Hollow Earth hierarchy. In Dagon's era, being 100 meters tall was considered the entry-level size. It was the bare minimum necessary to avoid being devoured within minutes of life. While Kong is celebrated today as a king for reaching that mark, Dagon was just another warrior of his kind trying to survive in a world populated by far more cruel monsters. What humiliates Kong and Dagon's story is his tragic end. Dagon was a veteran, an atomic reptile with firepower and physical strength superior to that of a primate. Even so, he was hunted, defeated, and parasitized by MUTO Prime. This proves that, in prehistory and in the depths of the Hollow Earth, Kong's size is no guarantee of sovereignty, it's merely a bigger target. Dagon possessed the same biology as Godzilla, capable of firing energy blasts and regenerating wounds, and yet he succumbed. Looking at Dagon's skeleton, Monarch realized that the mines and mountains of the Philippines were small compared to the ribcage of that giant. Kong now reigns in a more empty surface where he stands out, but Dagon reminds us that Kong is literally walking on the bones of giants who fell before him. If Kong lived in the same era as Dagon, he would be just another one in the crowd of Colossi. Dagon is the gold standard of prehistory, and the fact that he was defeated even as a mini Godzilla shows that Kong has a long way to go before being compared to the true masters of the past. Godzilla Evolved, the dense king, and of course, you can't close this list without talking about the current and undisputed king of monsters. Let's talk about Godzilla in his evolved form. Here, the humiliation isn't just a matter of measuring tape, but of a biological evolution that has left Kong, even with all his technology, in a desperate defensive position. Godzilla Evolved stands at 120 meters tall, giving it an almost 20-meter advantage over Kong. But in Godzilla vs. Kong, New Empire, we saw that size wasn't the only thing that changed. Monarch noted that Godzilla underwent a complete metamorphosis to face the threat of Scar King and Shimo. The biggest humiliation here was tactical. For years, Kong had a single clear advantage over Godzilla: agility. The gorilla was faster, could jump, and use the environment more effectively. But the evolved form changed the rules. Godzilla is now leaner and drier, but make no mistake, he hasn't lost weight. He's compacted his mass. Now, he can run at high speeds and perform acrobatically. In Egypt, we saw Godzilla take down Kong with a speed the primate had never seen before. Godzilla took away Kong's only trump card, becoming a fighter as agile as a mammal, but with the resilience of an atomic reptile. But the area where Kong is most humiliated is in energy density. Godzilla's energy storage capacity has increased an impressive 20 times. While Kong is a purely biological titan dependent on muscles, bones, and calories, Godzilla is now a living stellar reactor. Every inch of its pink musculature is pulsing with a power that defies conventional biology. In an arm wrestling match or a clash of bodies, the lizard's muscle and bone density, supercharged by this new energy, creates an impact force that Kong simply cannot match. The greatest proof of this humiliation is the existence of the BEST, Glove Bio-Enhanced Anatomical Seismic Tech. Kong needed a state-of-the-art mechanical power-up just to block Godzilla's blows and avoid having his arm broken by the king's overwhelming density. Without this glove, any direct exchange of punches would result in shattered bones for the gorilla. Godzilla Evolved humiliates Kong by proving that the king can evolve faster than human technology can compensate. He's bigger, he's denser, and now he's as fast as the gorilla. If Kong is the pinnacle of primate evolution, Godzilla Evolved is something beyond nature itself, a reminder that, at the end of the day, the gorilla is still a king of flesh, while Godzilla is a god of pure energy. Titanus Tiamat, the cosmic leviathan, and of course, we need to highlight the guardian of the energy vortices that we know better from the New Empire, Titanus Tiamat. Many people make the mistake of thinking she was weak because Godzilla quickly defeated her in his quest for evolution, but make no mistake, Tiamat is, biologically, one of the greatest nightmares Kong could face. Here, Kong's humiliation happens on fronts, its absurd length, and its environmental superiority. Tiamat's official length is an impressive 158 meters. We're talking about something that's more than 2.5 times Kong's total height. Tiamat isn't just big, she's an aquatic deity with physics-defying abilities. In the Godzilla Dominion comic book, we saw what she's truly capable of. She not only dragged Godzilla into the Absol depths, but also used her serpentine body to crush him in a deadly embrace. For Kong, water is already a terrifying environment. We saw in Godzilla vs. Kong that in the sea the gorilla becomes slow, loses its balance, and becomes an easy target. Now, imagine Kong facing a 258-meter long serpent with razor-sharp scales. Tiamat's scales are so sharp that they manage to cut through Godzilla's armored skin. Against Kong's exposed skin, each movement of Tiamat would be like running a steamroller of blades over the gorilla. In a fight, Tiamat would simply wrap herself around Kong. With over 1/4 kilometer of pure, flexible muscle, she could twist and turn around the gorilla's torso and limbs. Kong would be immobilized, his bones would begin to crack under the constricting pressure, and he would be dragged into an underwater vortex with no chance to use his axe or his agility. Tiamat humiliates Kong by proving that, in the wrong territory, height is worthless. She is proof that length and environmental adaptation triumph over brute force, while Kong tries to be the king of an island. Tiamat is the empress of an abyss that the gorilla cannot even navigate. She doesn't need fists when she has 158 meters of serpentine depth to offer. Titanus Shimo, the mother of ice, the apex, and finally, we arrive at the creature that completely redefined the scale of power and size in the entire MonsterVerse, Titanus Shimo. Forget everything you've learned about proportions up to this point. If Kong is a giant, Shimo is a moving geographical catastrophe. Monarch's data is jaw-dropping. Shimo measures an impressive 160.45 meters in height and 100 meters in length. She is, without a doubt, the largest living Titan ever recorded in the franchise's history. We could clearly observe the size disparity in the final battle in Rio, when Shimo stands in her full stance. She literally eclipses the sun and makes Godzilla, who is already enormous, look like a medium-sized Titan. Kong, next to her, can barely reach the creature's chest. He looks like a pet trying to take on an elephant. Her weight is estimated at over 100,000 tons. To give you an idea, Shimo's physical mass is so overwhelming that the simple act of her walking causes tremors. That can be felt kilometers away. In hand-to-hand combat, Kong has neither the physical strength nor the leverage to move a single limb of Shimo against her will, but size is only half the nightmare. Shimo isn't just big, she's the origin of all of Earth's ice ages. Her frostbite breath isn't just a cold ray, it's a burst of subatomic particles that instantly stop molecular motion. We saw what happened to Kong's arm when he was only grazed. He would have lost the limb if it weren't for human technology. In direct, unrestricted combat, Shimo could turn Kong into an ice statue in a matter of seconds. The greatest proof of Shimo's superiority is the fact that the Scar King, a master tactician and leader of an army of apes, never attempted to confront her with brute force. He needed to enslave her using the sonic crystal because he knew that Shimo is an ancient force of nature that cannot be defeated by punches or agility. Shimo humiliates Kong by representing the final wall of the biological hierarchy. She is a reminder that, no matter how much Kong evolves, uses tools, or conquers kingdoms in the Hollow Earth, there will always be a bigger fish. And, in this case, a much colder and more ancient fish. She is the mother of ice, the first Titan, and before her, the king of Skull Island is just a small inhabitant of a world she can freeze at any moment. Now that we've analyzed each of these monsters, it's time for the truth. If we put them all side by side, who really comes out on top in terms of size? Here's the official ranking from our list compared to Kong's 103 meters. Starting here in 10th place, we have Titanus Dagon at approximately 96 meters. Moving on to 9th place, we find Titanus Methuselah at 98 meters. In 8th position, standing at 103 meters and 90 centimeters, we have Titanus Scylla. Following in 7th place, Titanus Behemoth reaches 108 meters. Next, in 6th place is Titanus Amhulik, measuring over 110 meters. Coming into our top 5 is Godzilla Evolved with an impressive 120 meters. Almost on the podium, in 4th place is MUTO Prime at 120 meters. Opening our podium in 3rd place, we have Titanus Tiamat, measuring an impressive 158 meters in length. Taking the silver medal in 2nd place, Titanus Na Kika boasts 174 meters in length. And finally, crowning our 1st place, the gigantic Titanus Shimo, reigning supreme at 162 meters and 45 centimeters. You know the drill, right? If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. God bless you all. Take care. See you later.